Why, hello there. Welcome to this video. My name is Leah. I'm a progressive YouTuber. I make Wednesday and Saturday shows where I talk about big stories, cultural trends, whatever is going on, whatever I feel like talking about. Also, I can use my political energy for good. So I apologize. I had to cancel the last show. I am working a lot of hours every week and I have been pretty stressed out. I wish I had more time to do more research and to put more thought into my videos and to just do more on this end of things. But unfortunately, for right now, I do need to prioritize my full-time job over the YouTube stuff, as crappy as that is. But, I would love to do this full time. This is something that I'm working towards. So if you want to make that dream of mine a little closer to a reality, then stick around and help support me. So anyway, the last show that I had, we were talking about the debate. We were going over what happened at the debate. We were talking about how Trump was coping super hard and just straight up lying. He just kept saying over and over, I won, I won, I won. Just everyone says I won. Everyone, every single person says I won. And so he was just basically putting himself in this little reality bubble where facts don't matter and he can just come up with whatever he wants to say and his little base will follow him. So yeah, we were looking at initial responses to the debate and talking about the debate itself. Pretty much everyone agreed that Harris crushed it, that she killed it in the debate. And yeah, that was pretty much what everyone thought except for Trump. The right-wing pundits were trying to essentially blame it on the moderators, saying that the moderators were really unfair and that they fed Kamala the questions or something like that. Bunch of ridiculous nonsense if you ask me. So we are going to essentially do a little bit of checking in with both campaigns here. We're going to check in and see what's going on over with the Trump campaign, and then we'll check in with the Kamala campaign later on.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just
to
a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview.
Okay, so there he is, right there, saying the quiet part out loud. I don't know if anyone told JD Vance this or not, but you are not supposed to say that out loud. Also, I love this little frame that we have frozen on here. He looks pretty great in that. But yeah, so the thing is that you're not supposed to tell people that you're just making stuff up for culture war purposes, because that kind of undermines the soundness, quote unquote, of your argument. Like, he literally just said, yeah, if it's convenient for me politically to make something up and lie about it to get the attention of the media, then I'm going to do that because that's exactly what I'm going to do. Like, that's basically what he just said. And I just find this incredibly shocking, incredibly shocking.
With her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're
be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
Public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're
That was, I did not pause the video. That was literally him just staring at the camera. He is the most uncharismatic person I have ever seen in my life. It's so funny. Like, he comes off as like the disappointed dad trying to talk down to his kid, except for the fact that like every single thing he says is just stupid. It's just incredibly stupid. So his tone says, I think I'm better than you. I think I know the truth. And clearly you're just doing whatever you're doing over there. But everything, every actual statement that comes out of his mouth is so stupid. Like, I just, it's shocking. It's shocking. He is. This is a marvel of a person right here.
Creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not
We are
accurate.
creating.
That was one of the most awkward. Now I know there's delay and stuff like that they're dealing with, but wow, that was so awkward.
Dana, it comes from first-hand accounts.
Dana, like you hear that disappointed father tone where, oh my god, like it kind of reminds me of like those really crappy toxic guys in cishet relationships where they like the girl will say something smart and that the guy should listen to, and he'll be like, well, clearly you don't understand the reality of the situation, like just talking down to someone even though they're making a good point.
From my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn?
Now, of course, the harm is not actually coming from the Haitian immigrants. The harm is coming from the bomb threats, from this focus that he's talking about, the media focusing on Springfield. This is not actually a super beneficial thing for Springfield. Everyone that has been involved in local office talking about, you know, this event, the governor of Ohio and the mayor of Springfield have both said that Donald Trump and JD Vance should stay out of it. All they are doing is inciting people to violence, to call in bomb threats. They're probably inciting people to commit hate crimes against Haitians when there is no good reasoning to do so, which is a really messed up thing to do. And he's over here acting like he is the hero of Springfield, Ohio.
The Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy.
And again, their lives were not destroyed by specifically Kamala Harris's policy. And by the way, she is not the president of the United States. So trying to pretend that, you know, Harris is the one who put this policy into place in regards to the border is kind of not very smart, because it's just not true. And of course, he's completely ignoring the fact that the Republicans killed the border bill. And yeah.
I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border.
Now, okay, people in Springfield, Ohio are suffering. Again, really great freeze frame here on Sir Vance. But like, I find it ridiculous. Like, Trump was already in office for 4 years. And of course, he's trying to make it sound like Kamala Harris was president for 4 years. Well, she wasn't. Trump actually was president for 4 years. How much did he do for the people of Springfield, Ohio during that time? Did he bring manufacturing jobs? No, he didn't. Did he help with poverty in those rural parts of America? No, he didn't. Yes, inflation is an issue, and part of it is because we're coming out of the pandemic and everything, and there was greedflation and all that stuff. But yeah, no, this is just an incredibly bad argument from JD Vance. All right, so here is a different JD Vance interview, and this one is with NBC.
To say, though, that the mayor from Dayton in that video that you're talking about and police chief responded forcefully to that new video you just referenced. They say there's absolutely no evidence to even remotely suggest that immigrants are eating pets. Let me just ask you, though, in October of 2016, you said this, quote, Trump makes people I care about afraid, immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. This week in Springfield, buildings were closed because of bomb threats. Haitian immigrants say they are afraid for their lives. Are you now doing the very thing you once called reprehensible, Senator?
Well, first of all, Kristen, we condemn all acts of violence and all threats of violence. But, Kristen, the reason that I changed my mind on Donald Trump is actually perfectly highlighted by what's going on in Springfield, because the media and the Kamala Harris campaign, they've been calling the residents of Springfield racist. They've been lying about them. They've been saying that they make up these reports of migrants eating geese, and they completely ignore the public health disaster that is unfolding in Springfield at this very minute.
Senator,
You know
what
who
about the
hasn't ignored
Haitian
it?
immigrants
Donald
who
Trump,
say they're
because
afraid?
Donald Trump believes, Kristen, let me finish this point, Kristen, and feel free to follow up. Donald Trump is the only person who brought Springfield to national attention, and is the only president who's going to fight for the residents, not just their right to live safely.
Okay, again, he was in office for 4 years already. Trump was in office for 4 years already. Did he do anything for Springfield, Ohio before then? No, he didn't.
In their communities, but for their right to complain about what's going on in their own community. I think it's disgraceful that Kamala Harris has heard these complaints, has decided to call people racist instead of actually trying to make their lives better.
Okay, so I haven't seen Kamala Harris call anyone racist over this, other than maybe like Donald Trump. I haven't seen her say anything about calling anyone racist in this. Just I've seen her say that, you know, obviously these are false rumors being spread, and it's very very troubling. But I just don't understand where he's getting this whole like, oh, she's just running around calling everyone racist. Like, I don't get where he's getting that from.
By undoing her open border. But I know you had a question.
Well, and Senator, again, because we're almost out of time, but Haitian immigrants are saying they're afraid for their lives. I want to shift to another topic. I've been talking to allies of former President Trump who are frankly outraged. They're alarmed that Donald Trump has been traveling with Laura Loomer. She is someone who says she supports white nationalism.
Sorry, that was my cat.
Conspiracy theories, including that the September 11th attacks are an inside job. She recently said that Kamala Harris, whose mother was Indian, if she wins in November, quote, the White House will smell like curry. Senator, you are married to an Indian American woman. What was your reaction to hearing those comments specifically?
Well, Kristen, I want to go back to what you said about Haitian migrants to begin with, because you didn't give me a chance to respond. Look, we don't blame the Haitian migrants for coming to Springfield. We blame Kamala Harris for opening the American southern border and inviting 20,000 people to get dropped in a small Ohio town. Now, you asked about Laura Loomer. Look, Laura Loomer is not affiliated with the Trump campaign. She said something about curry in the White House that I first read about this morning, actually, because I knew that you would ask me about it. Look, Kristen, I make a mean chicken curry. I don't think that it's insulting for anybody to talk about their dietary preferences or what they want to do in the White House. I think what Laura said about Kamala Harris is not what we should be focused on. We should be focused on the policy and on the issues. And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris? No, I don't. I also don't think that this is actually an issue of national import. Is Laura Loomer running for president? No. Kamala Harris is running for president, and whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive thanks to her policies. Let's talk about the person running for president of the United States, not a social media personality who supports Donald Trump.
Okay, so that was an absolutely terrible answer. It really comes off as if JD Vance has never interacted with a human being a day in his life, and then he gets on camera and says the things that he says. Wow, that's that is definitely one way to respond to that question. Laura Loomer has been spending a lot of time with Donald Trump, and it is clear that it's affecting him. It's affecting how he views the world. She's feeding him tons of conspiracy theories. And in many ways, she's probably the primary reason why Trump is so detached from reality right now. Like, I would argue that he's the most detached from reality he's ever been. And I would say that people like JD Vance and Laura Loomer being close to him, that those are the reasons why.
Senator, were you and your wife offended? And do you disavow those comments that even some Trump allies say are blatantly racist?
Kristen, I just told you I don't like those comments, and I think that we ought to be focused on Kamala Harris's policy failures. I also don't look at the internet for every single thing to get offended by. I'm running for vice president because I think Kamala Harris has been a disaster, and we have to undo her policies. That's what we should be focused on. But by the
He's like talking about Laura Loomer like she's some random shit poster online. She's not just some random shit poster online. She has real influence on someone who could be the next president of the United States. And that is incredibly troubling. And so the fact that he's acting like she hunted through the internet to find some obscure account to talk about, you know, culture war stuff, it's just ridiculous. Like, this is an actual story. And I think it's really cowardly for him to not call this racist and to just talk about it like it is. Like, honestly, he's probably just afraid to piss off Trump by bad-mouthing her or saying that it was racist or whatever. So that was JD Vance pretending to be a human, doubling and tripling down on the Springfield, Ohio stuff, and pretending that it's a good idea to make up a news story that gets people to call in bomb threats and disrupts daily life for residents in a small town. Next up, we're going to see what Trump is doing. We're going to see what Trump is up to. So this is an incredibly short clip.
The hell out of here, and I'm going to Utah.
Should JD Vance debate Tim Walz?
Yeah, sure. I think it would be good. JD's doing a great job, don't you think? He'll do very well. JD's going to debate, yeah.
Do you denounce the bomb threats in Springfield,
I love that blind confidence. I love that. Just, yeah, definitely. He's great, amazing, the best ever. He's doing a great job, best ever. Yeah,
Ohio? Do you denounce the bomb threats in Springfield, Ohio?
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened. Springfield was this beautiful town, and now they're going through hell. It's a sad thing. Not going to happen with me, I can tell you right now. Thank you very much, everyone.
So there's something that I really want to point out with this clip, and I have a little bit of firsthand experience with this because I am an Ohio resident. Yes, it's true. I was born in a cornfield in rural Ohio, and I am one with the corn. But really, I am an Ohio resident, and actually, for most of my life, I have lived within 30 minutes to an hour drive of Springfield, Ohio. So I know about Springfield, Ohio. And one of the funniest things ever is Trump saying that it was a beautiful town, and you can hear this echoed with JD Vance and other people. They keep saying over and over and over again that Springfield was a beautiful town with no issues, no crime, no problems. And then, you know, the Kamala Harris thing happened, and she opened up all of the borders and personally deposited 20,000 Haitians into Springfield, Ohio. And that is the root cause of all of their problems. That's just not it. That's not the populist message anymore. Like, Trump won in 2016 largely because he led with a very populist message that motivated and mobilized people that live in places like Springfield that have been deeply affected by the outsourcing of manufacturing jobs, by the shrinking of the middle class. All of that stuff has deeply, deeply affected these small Ohio towns, and I've seen it my entire life. So just to be clear, Springfield was not a beautiful small town with no crime. Springfield is in fact full of crack and meth heads, and it's not a new thing. And Springfield, Ohio is incredibly close to Dayton, Ohio, which is like one of the main overdose centers of America. Like, Dayton, Ohio has one of the highest overdose rates for fentanyl and heroin in all of America. So of course that isn't all centered all on Dayton. The surrounding areas are deeply affected by the heroin and fentanyl crisis. So the poverty, the drugs, the homelessness, all of that has been an issue long before Kamala Harris was ever vice president of the United States, long before she was in an office that could do anything. But yeah, as someone who has grown up in Ohio, I've lived my entire life in the state. I feel like it's really rich that they're trying to pretend like Springfield, Ohio was this perfect town with no issues. It's just not true at all. And if you live in Ohio, you know that's not true at all. And it kind of makes you think, hopefully, if you live in Ohio and you see this stuff, it makes you think, like, are they really blaming all the issues on immigrants, because it's definitely not immigrants that are causing all of these problems. But okay, that was a pretty tame clip. Let's see what else Trump has been saying lately.
You know, they'll say it didn't exist. And I actually did have such confidence in him, and he's really a very special guy, talented guy, good guy, great guy. And I said, you know, if I'm going to show it, let's do it with Gutfeld.
Yes.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Because it happened right after.
Yeah, how did you get him to see the top of your ear?
Well, I sat in a low chair.
Okay, thank you.
But you know what? It was true. And I took the bandages off very carefully.
Yeah.
And I showed him. He said, "That's nasty."
Yes.
That was nasty. But
I
it healed
kind of
up.
wanted to touch it, but I knew I would have
No,
been
he didn't.
tackled. And I would have enjoyed it. But it's interesting to see the response to this second attempt. Every time you're under a bigger threat, the media still blames you even more.
Yeah.
It's almost as though they don't see their own role in this. What do you make? Have you just basically accepted this as a fact?
I think so, yeah. Look,
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but there was a second assassination attempt that no one cares about at all. Essentially, some dude was hiding in a bush with a gun, and Secret Service found him, and he was arrested. So I guess a Secret Service person shot at the individual, and so there were shots fired, but it was only by Secret Service. The guy like ran to his truck and tried to flee or something like that, and we found out that it was like independent, kind of like Republican minded individual again who did the attempted assassination or whatever. So it's, oh my goodness, it's like, it's funny because they're trying to make a big deal about it like the first time to try to like milk it and try to boost his polls and stuff like that, but it's so clear that nobody cares, especially because nothing really happened. It's not like his life was really in danger for this assassination attempt. He was not really, the guy didn't even like take a shot at Trump at all. It didn't even seem like he was lining up his sights on him or whatever. So I don't know. No one cares, right? No one cares. But yeah, I just feel like I need to give the context for that.
the media is extremely dishonest, extremely corrupt, actually. Look at the debate. I walked off, I said, that's debate. You know, they said I'm the GOAT. In debates, because I had a lot of debates and I became president, and the GOAT means greatest of all time.
right.
He's a GOAT.
Ugh. Oh, that's so cringy. Oh my God, that's so cringy, dude. You are not hip. You are not cool. You are not with it. You do not have the secret sauce, and stop trying to act like you do.
But what a great stage. And I walked off that stage and I thought I had the best debate. And I was very unfairly treated by the anchor. I'm not fans of those guys anymore. And his hair was better 5 years ago than it is now. Okay? That happens. That happens with the clock.
I mean, who among us?
That happens with the clock. But, you know, they came at me on everything like crime.
Yeah.
I said, the crime is rampant. He said, crime is down. I said, crime is down? Who would think it's... Without even knowing... And I was right. The following day, DOJ announced numbers. I don't know who it was in DOJ, but...
Did you hear that? He just said, without even knowing. Like, he didn't even know what the crime numbers were. He was just saying they were high. Dude, that's not a flex.
Somebody over there likes me. That crime is up 45%, murders up, numbers like you wouldn't even believe. And anybody would know that without even seeing charts. But it turned out to be a false attack.
Oh, so people would know that without knowing that because they know it instinctively, because people just know the crime rate instinctively. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They attacked the bloodbath. That was referring to the auto industry.
Right.
You know all these things.
Yeah.
Charlottesville was totally debunked by everybody, including Laura. Laura did a whole show on it, how it's so ridiculous.
And even Snopes, which is a left-wing
That's right.
site.
They even said.
Yeah.
But all of them, and they didn't correct her once, and they corrected me everything I said practically. And I think 9 times or 11 times. And the audience was absolutely, they went crazy. And the real, I thought it was, I walked off, I said, that.
I don't know if he was glitching afterwards because he noticed and just tried to move on from it, but Trump just said that the audience went crazy. There was no audience. That debate had no audience. So maybe it's time we crack open a book and we check out the symptom list for dementia and we see if it fits. Because my guy is saying that something happened that literally could not have happened And there are only two things that are possible. Either he genuinely thinks and remembers there being a crowd there, which means that his brain is so stupefied that he thinks there's always a crowd everywhere that he's speaking, like he's just like continuously in a rally in his brain or something. And maybe he misremembered due to dementia that there was a crowd there because he does rallies all the time around crowds. And so he just assumed that there was a crowd there in his dementia brain or whatever. The only other thing it could be is that he knows it's not true and he lied on purpose there. But yeah, I genuinely am not really sure what is going on with this moment. Like, this is posted on Trump's YouTube page. So, I mean, I guess they're just going to run with it and act like it never happened. So yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on here. This is kind of a telling moment because like no one said anything to him. He didn't say anything about it. If I were one of these people sitting around him, I would have been like, are you okay, my guy? Do you smell biscuits? Are you having a medical event right now? Are you stroking out right now? Like, do we need to call someone? No one did anything like that. And it's a little bizarre. It really goes to show like how much they're willing to just like let him lie and get away with it. Like, I'm sure every single one of them noticed that he said that. And I'm sure every single one of them, other than him, knows definitely that that's not true, right? Like, Trump's the one with dementia. Gutfield doesn't have dementia, I hope. And that means that he knows that there was no audience. And so he's just sitting there like, oh my God, this guy is just saying stuff.
It was a great debate. I loved it. You know, you got a lot of people watch. I guess we had 75 million people watching, something like that. And you have to do well. You can't do badly. For instance, Biden didn't do so well in the previous debate.
And then he said right after there were 75 million people watching. Is he trying to imply that he can sense the crowd and how they are reacting through the tubes? Is he trying to insinuate that he has an ability to navigate the minds of individuals that are not within his presence? Like, either he's an X-Men that can read the minds of everyone on the face of the earth, or he's got dementia. And I think we should just use Occam's razor for that one.
Because I had the two debates. I had one. We actually had two debates. You know, I had one against a man, and then they said, he's not doing well, take him out, put in a new one. And if she doesn't do well, I wonder if they're going to take her out. Just keep putting it. Let's see if we can get it right eventually. No, but a thing like that's never happened before.
Okay, so that's all I can stomach of that. I've got one more Trump clip, and it's a pretty funny one. So I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. He was doing a shout out for people at this rally recently.
That hair. Got no hair problem, right, Henry? None. Yeah, he's a great guy. Gold medal winner. Latin music superstar, Nicky Jam. Do you know Nicky? She's hot. Where's Nicky? Where's Nicky? Thank you, Nicky. Great to be having you here. Now you have to get, oh, look. Come here. Come here. I'm glad he came up. It's all.
Yeah, so did you hear that? Did you hear him aggressively misgender this superstar that he's supposed to be getting an endorsement from? Yeah, that was super awkward. If you watch the crowd in the background, the second that he makes the mistake, people in the background just start whispering about it and saying like, oh my God, he doesn't know. He has no idea that he just said that. And this guy came up here and was just like, yeah, so that was really awkward. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I heard that this guy revoked his endorsement after the event. He took it back. And I don't blame him. Like, Trump doesn't care about anyone other than himself. And so, you know, like, he just guessed. He was like, Nikki, oh, that's gotta be a girl's name. Clearly, it has to be a girl's name, right? So, oh my gosh, I just think it's so stupid. Like, if he cared at all about these people endorsing him, then he would at least know who they are, right?
Honor to me to meet you, Mr. President. People that come from where I come from, they don't meet the president, so I'm lucky. I'm gonna say this, but we need you. We need you back, right? We need you to be the president.
It almost sounds like that's what he decided he was going to say before he stepped on stage. And if you look at his expression, he looks almost pained, like he's trying to smile, but he's like upset that that just happened. But he's also like, I did come here to endorse him, so I'm just going to say what I was going to say. And I think he was pissed. I think this guy was extremely pissed, and it just took him a little while to be like, yeah, that was really dumb. That was so dumb. Also, I love this guy over here with the rump shirt because the T's covered up. He's got rump 2024.
And apart from that, I gotta say this in Spanish. Han pasado 4 años y no ha pasado nada. Necesitamos a Trump. Let's make America great again.
And you know, we have all different kinds of stars than we did 10 years ago and 20 years ago. It used to be a little simpler. Now it's a whole different world, but the number.
He's like, everything used to be so simple. Nikki only used to be a woman's name, and now anyone can be a Nikki. It's a whole different world. People are woke in ways that the world has never seen before. It's so stupid. Like, dude, you just don't know who that person is at all, and you just aggressively misgendered them, and you're gonna blame it on the woke or something for being so woke that they're naming boys Nikki or something. But okay, one more clip here of the Donald Trump, and I do have to admit that the audio for this clip is pretty bad, so I apologize in advance for that.
This is not sustainable by any country. This is not sustainable. How about in Springfield, Ohio? They had 32,000. This is a little beautiful town. No crime, no problem.
As we discussed previously, I'm an Ohio resident, and I can confirm that Springfield is, in fact, not a beautiful little town with no crime and no problem. There are, in fact, many problems, many meth, crack, and fentanyl-related problems in Springfield, Ohio. And those issues have absolutely nothing to do with the Haitians.
32,000.
As a matter of fact, I'm seeing reports from people talking about the Haitians saying they're the hardest working people in the entire town. And there was like some dude talking about how he's really thankful for them because they don't show up to work high. Like, do you understand how low the bar has to be? Like, it's crazy that the guy has to mention that he's thankful to have workers that don't come to work high. That just goes to show how common it is in Ohio for people to have a drug problem.
Illegal immigrants come into the town, 32. So they almost doubled their population in a period of a few weeks. Can you believe it? And you know what? They've got to get much tougher. I'm going to go there in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to Springfield and I'm going to Aurora. You may never see me again, but that's okay. Got to do what I got to do. Whatever happened to Trump? Well, he never got out of Springfield. I'm leading in Ohio by like 15 points.
He says he's leading in Ohio by a lot, and I don't doubt in the rural areas, there are probably a lot more Trump signs. But compared to 2016 and 2020, I'm seeing considerably less Trump signs than I did the past few election cycles with Trump. And not only that, but I'm seeing a lot of Republicans for Harris signs, and I'm also seeing a lot of Harris-Walz signs. So what I'm seeing on the ground does not reflect a 15-point lead. Now, of course, I'm just basing that off of my personal experiences, and I do live near a city which is rather blue, but I also don't live in the city. So, you know, there are people around me that probably did support Trump in the past, but are afraid to support him now, or are supporting Harris and Walz. Like, I've mentioned this before, but Trump has lost a lot of his populist rhetoric over the years, and especially the last 4 years or so. It's really just been about him, grievance politics. And I think that has caused him to insulate his voter base, his electoral base. I think in this election cycle, we will see him I'm guessing it'll be close to the number he got in 2020, but I think it might be down by like 5 or 10 million people or so. And I think that's just because all he's done over the past 4 years is appeal to the voter base that already loves him. And he has kind of pushed out independents and pushed out the more moderate Republicans in the party. But also, the main reason I showed this clip was to talk about him saying that he's never going to come back from Springfield, Ohio, or whatever. He's going to go there, and it's going to be such a hellscape that he's going to essentially enter into a war zone and immediately be captured by the enemy and put to death or something like that. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, dude, you got Secret Service all around you. These crack and meth heads in Springfield, Ohio are no worry for you at all, I promise. So here is a clip from Springfield Mayor Rob Rue.
It brings attention to our city. It also represents logistical challenges that require careful planning and allocation of our resources to minimize disruption of daily life. As a visit from the former president will undoubtedly place additional demands on our safety infrastructure. Should he choose to change his plans, it would convey a significant message of peace to the city of Springfield.
So again, he's not the only local official to come out and say that Trump should not visit Springfield, Ohio. The governor has come out and said that Trump should mind his own business. So, you know, it's just very clear that the local government in Ohio recognizes how dangerous this is and how stupid this is. And I think that that's pretty funny because most of the leadership in Ohio is Republican. Like the governor is Republican, and he has personally said that he wants Trump to stay out of it. So I know that this has been a pretty long episode thus far, but we only have a couple more videos to look at. We have this one right here, which is an interview that Kamala Harris did with the National Association of Black Journalists, the ones that interviewed Trump, I think about a month or two ago. And he said some pretty ridiculously racist stuff. So they asked her many questions during this interview, but this is one that is relevant to the conversation that we're having.
Moved to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day. You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day? Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children. A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned a long time ago in my career, having a background as a prosecutor, when you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage in my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California, 5th largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big, there is a profound responsibility that comes with that. That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust. To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust to be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself. And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America. And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally. What's happening to those families, those children in that community, not to mention what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious threats that are being issued against a community that is living a productive, good life before this happened. And spewing lies that are grounded in tropes that are age-old. And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is refusing to rent to people, rent to black families, whether it is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling for their execution, whether it is referring to the first black president of the United States with a lie, birther lies. And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe want better than this. I do believe that. I know, the vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that. I know that regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to stop. And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting and it's harmful and it's hateful and grounded in some age-old stuff that we should not have the tolerance for. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
Madam Vice President, I'm switching gears.
So I feel like that was actually a very good response. I feel like she was comes off as a little tired in this interview. Obviously, she's been campaigning a lot, doing a lot throughout the past, month or two or whatever. And so I'm not expecting her to be Wonder Woman and to just have infinite energy or whatever. But yeah, no, mostly a really good answer there. I feel like she did a little bit of the whole Springfield was perfect before this happened kind of thing, which is really denying the fact that Springfield it is a struggling city, has been a struggling city. And before the Haitians showed up, they were a struggling city, and now they're still a struggling city. So I think I would have liked to see her just mention or bring light to the fact that there are issues in Springfield, Ohio, that she would address, but they have nothing to do with Haitians or anything like that. I think I just would have liked to see her spend a little less time talking about how it's hateful rhetoric and stuff like that, which I agree with. I think that it's distasteful, it's disgusting, it's an old playbook that has been used over and over to try to divide people. But more so, I would like to see her say hey, I understand that there are issues going on in Springfield, Ohio, and there's a reason why people want someone to blame. The people there are in poverty, they're struggling, and they want to point a finger at someone. And so they're trying, and so Trump is directing them to point a finger at the Haitian population, when in reality they should be pointing the finger at certain economic policies and certain things that are keeping that city from growing and prospering. So yeah, overall, I feel like that was a pretty good interview. It wasn't a fantastic interview. I do think that out of all of her skill sets, Kamala Harris does a great job with the stump speech on stage. You know, she does a great job when it comes to debates. She's an amazing person when it comes to debates. The presidential debate that we just watched recently, if you watched it, it's one of the best debates I've seen in recent history. Definitely one of the best presidential debates I've seen ever in my lifetime. And so she's really strong in debates, and she's really strong for rallies on stage. But when it comes to interviews, she just doesn't deliver in terms of authenticity like Tim Walz does. Now, this is a subtle critique, but I feel like it's a little bit important to mention because Tim Walz has an incredible charisma about him. When he's talking to people in an interview setting, I feel like he does a very good job with the back and forth, sounding very down to earth, answering questions while still getting the message across that he wants to get across. Like, he's very good at doing interviews. And to be honest, I wish that Kamala Harris would learn a little bit from him about that, because I feel like her weakest part of campaigning are these interviews. And I feel like those are really important for her leading up to this election. Like, she really needs to be on her A game, especially in these interviews. I know she's out campaigning, meeting people, rallies, all that sort of stuff, and that's all very important for sure. But it's incredibly important as well that when she's presenting herself online or in these interviews, that she knows that millions of people online are watching and they're going to build opinions through these interviews as well about her. And sometimes she is a little meandering sometimes. I don't think that she does the word salad thing. Like, I think that if anything, sometimes she tries to sound a little grandiose. Like, she keeps trying to do that thing where it's like the measure of a leader is not by who they beat down, but the true measure of a leader is by who they build up or whatever. And when she tries to say that statement, it's clear that she's trying to sound important or grandiose, and it kind of kills it. It makes it sound really inauthentic, makes it sound very inorganic, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I just would like to see her learn a little more about how to engage with these interview settings to come off as appealing to people. Okay, so here is the last thing I wanted to show you. Wired put out the Kamala Harris answers the web's most searched questions about her kind of thing, and it was pretty great, actually. So I don't know if this is copyrighted at all. I really hope it's not, but I'm just going to go ahead and play a short clip from this so that we can look at it.
Hi, I'm Kamala Harris, and this is the Wired autocomplete interview. What do you want me to do with each one?
Just drop them on the floor. Yeah.
It's not going to be in the camera shot?
It's off camera.
Because I don't believe in littering.
No, I know. We're going to
Okay. How to pronounce Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. My baby nieces, you can go on YouTube, and they did a really great tutorial on how to pronounce my name. So look it up. What did Kamala Harris's mother tell her? She told us that we should never let anyone tell us who we are. You tell them who you are. She said to me many times, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things. Make sure you're not the last. Since I was 2 years old, my mother told me to look out for my little sister. These are all instructions that she gave me that I have carried throughout my life. What does Kamala Harris stand for? I am a daughter of parents who are active in the civil rights movement. They actually took me when I was in a stroller to civil rights marches where they were fighting for freedom, for justice, for equality. I believe, for example, right now that one of the biggest things that we must fight for is the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. An important moment that I had was back in 2004 when I was one of the first elected people in the country to perform same-sex marriages, because I believe very strongly that the law should not treat people differently when it comes to being able to love who they love and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. Does Kamala Harris have kids? Yes. I have two. Cole and Ella became my cherished children. Doug, my husband, I was very clear with him that when we started dating, I wanted to see how this thing was gonna go before I would meet Cole and Ella. You know, I'm a kid of divorced parents. It was important to make sure that
when I developed a relationship with the kids, that it would be lasting. I love those kids to pieces. They are my children, and I'm very proud of them.
Okay, so I know that that was just a short little clip there. Again, I don't know if it's copyrighted or not, so I don't want to show too much of it because, you know, I may just have to cut it out anyway. But the Wired interview, very good, actually. If you haven't seen it, if for some reason I got copyrighted and I had to cut it all out or whatever, go watch it. I feel like she presented herself extremely well, sort of had like an air of relatability and lightness about her that she didn't really have during that last interview that we watched. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that like that one sit down video that they had with her and Tim Walz discussing things. That was really good. It came off as very authentic and very, very, very nice to watch them both interact, actually. But it's like when Harris is on CNN or being interviewed by the National Association of Black Journalists or whatever. She just, for some reason, puts that on a different pedestal where like she feels like she needs to get all professional and stuff or something. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of like her demeanor and stuff changes a little bit when she's in those different settings. And I feel like she gives worse interviews to like CNN and stuff like that as compared to when she just does something that's like detached from corporate media or whatever. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. I'm just glad to see that she's doing more media appearances like that. I feel like she is doing a lot of campaigning, probably holding a lot of rallies. The debate was great for her, but she needs to put out more content about her in general. Like I think that Wired autocomplete interview was a great thing because it let her tell people who she is. You know, you can learn about like how does she feel about her kids, blah, 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 blah. Like there's all sorts of wonderful stuff in there. So I really do think that if she does more stuff like that, it will win over people because they'll see that she's fun and relatable and lighthearted and humorous and stuff like that. She's the joyful warrior. And I genuinely feel like she was correct when she was talking in that previous interview and said that people are sick of this kind of like harsh, divisive rhetoric. It's exhausting. It's like how nowadays, if you put breaking news on something, like that used to be attention grabbing for people, like, oh, breaking news, oh my gosh. But now it's almost a turnoff for people's attention because people want a break from all the breaking news. They want a break from all the intense stimulation that's being forced onto them. So I feel like it's pretty fantastic that Kamala Harris comes off as more level-headed, joyful, lighthearted, humorous, all that stuff, because I feel like it really does a good contrast against the serious, kind of like weird tone that JD Vance has in combination with the really, really harsh, over the top kind of rhetoric that Trump's been using. But wow, it has been an hour and 14 minutes of recording. I need to stop recording. I have to stop recording. I have to be at work in like 4 hours. So I need to go to bed and try to get a little bit of sleep. I'm going to edit this tomorrow and try to get this out tomorrow. So it'll probably be out a little later than normal. I usually try to get this out by noon, but I just do not have time to edit this. So this will probably be out in the evening, which is fine. It's fine if it's a little bit late. It's still coming out on Saturday. But also exciting, a little bit of exciting news. I recorded my video about my 1-year transition progress, talking about how my first year of transition was and just talking about stuff related to it. I don't know when I'm going to have time to edit that video and get it up, but I'm going to try to get it up soon. It is recorded, so that's like half of the thing. But yeah, if you watched all the way through to the end, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for supporting me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think of my show and stuff like that. And also, if you want to subscribe, I'm trying to push towards my first 100 subscribers. We're at 62 right now. So we're getting there. We're actually making considerable progress. And I'm really thankful for everyone who's been hitting the subscribe button. Your support means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I hope to grow. I want to do this stuff full time, you know, do some representation, talk about news and politics, do the thing. That's what I want to do. So, but yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for listening, watching, all that great stuff. I will be back this next Wednesday with another show, hopefully, unless I'm like dying of busyness or whatever, but it should be okay. I should be able to get it done. But until I see you back in another video, I just have one little favor to ask of you, and that's for you to drink some water.